All right, cool. So I turned my door into a ring light or a rectangle light. I've had these LED lights for the past few years, 2 years maybe ish. They're pretty solid. They've been doing the thing. I don't know what fucking brand they are. Glad I don't, because advertising and that bullshit. But yeah, they've been kicking since I bought them. I use them for all kinds of things. They softened the light in my room. They give me kind of a little bit. Sometimes they're a little sharp, but you can turn them down. You can adjust them. All this really cool stuff. They take up one of the. They take up your outlets. They're pretty fucking bulky, but you get a power strip, and it works. It works pretty well. But yeah, I've got fucking power strips all over my house. It's ridiculous. I think I have more outlets in my room than, like, it's definitely the pay dirt of outlets. My room, it's out of control. I've got two long strips, like long strips, and then I have three other. What are they? Fucking surge protectors. All the things. Fucking when you're charging things constantly. I try to make things accessible to myself to charge to on the fly muscle memory, right? Because if it's in your vicinity, if it's easy for you to do, you're more likely to do it. I try to get out of my own way. And this is one of the things of getting out of my own way, is setting up a light in my doorway. So now something that was just like, something you walk through, something you really don't think too much about, now is a functional part of a creative process, which is pretty cool. And I've moved. The light in my room is uneven now, though, so now I have to buy another LED light to deal with that scenario, or maybe I could just deal with it and not be obsessed with this lighting scenario. But yeah, right now I've got this really cool doorway lighting in my room, so I like the way it the fall off, the light fall off. So I have another LED light behind me on my window, and it does like a really cool, fucking thing back there. And I can change the colors of it. But I like the separation from the background, the foreground lighting. Could probably play with it a little bit more. I'm ridiculous when it comes down to like hyperfixating on these things. I could hyperfixate more and just dedicate completely to these things, but something about being consumed by one thing. I've got multiple hobbies. I have my uncle when I was young was always like, what do you say, a jack of all trades, a master of none. The way I never really got a read on what he like. When people say things, they say things, but what they mean. I never really got a read on what he meant when he said that. I get the gist of the scenario, but with him, was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? I like knowing a lot of things. I like being able to accomplish a lot of things. When I was young, I heard the term a Renaissance human, and that was really interesting to me. The ability of being capable of doing a multitude of things well. I thought that was really, really cool. So, and a lot of the music I listened to when I was a kid, a lot of the books I read were all about changing your thought process, thinking differently, doing things differently, being different, and maybe it's not me pursuing those things. Maybe it's genetics, maybe it's a DNA memory, maybe it's a resonation from something else that just the conversation of free will comes up a lot in my circles, and the idea of it existing. We've been fed this narrative that free will exists, and I just don't think it's that simple. Because we have, I mean, our body is full of a multitude of voices, bacteria, parasites, trauma, psychological situations, and it's like, who's running the ship? Who's responsible? And I mean, you look at the condition of the world, and you want to hold people accountable, but also you're just like how conscious is humanity? I don't want to project, something I've been developing the muscle memory of not projecting my reality and the way I see things onto other people. We all are a unique individual, or a unique vessel, constructed and conceived in a completely different DNA pool, usually a culture pool, all these background scenarios, and there's so much information that we don't know about the root of humanity and existence. I don't want to project that you see things the way that I see things, and I don't want to project that you feel things the way I feel things, and because I feel like that's a disservice to connectivity. So with all, like I said, with all the multitude of different, the astronomical multitude of differences that we are presented with, that we've inherited in whatever the fuck this is that we're going through. Some people call it the Matrix, some people, say that the atom consists of two particles, protons and neutrons, and that's the code for the different kind of computer code, because we like zeros and ones, human binary computer scenario, but another species, would they be using Macs? Would they be they have a whole different fucking scenario. And so yeah, it's all really cool conversation, really cool wormholes to fall into. Why the fuck not? What are you gonna do? What are you doing? Going to work, waking up, fighting with each other, balancing your checkbook. People don't have. Now like that whole scenario is digitized. Like I haven't seen a checkbook in forever. So yeah, all these like do what you want. What do you like? What do you want to spiral into? Do you want to spiral into drama? Do you want to spiral into the trivial, mundane, boring, day-to-day scenarios that humanity finds itself rabbling about constantly for whatever fucking reason, probably an unconscious reason? Or do you want to talk about cool shit, or just see where your mind goes about fucking anything? I like hyperfixating on cameras, bicycles, dude. I fucking love. My favorite thing to do on a bike right now is it's called a track stand, and right now I have a fixed bike, a fixed gear. It's one gear. My body I've been slowly acclimating my body to this fixed gear. And if you know anything about bikes, and if you know anything about living in the mountains, riding a fixed gear is a whole other realm of fuck me. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the discomfort. I'm here for the extremely uncomfortable, and I've been here for that discomfort for a very long time, and I've experienced that. I've pursued that discomfort in a multitude of ways, and it's changed me. It's honed me. It's gotten rid of things that don't serve me, that were in me, and I'm 40 now. I've been living in discomfort forever. Being, born in, not by some standards poverty, but I know the spectrum of poverty. I've looked around the world, and American poverty is, I was upper class poverty, the 1% poverty. My mom made some really fucking awesome choices for us when we were young, and moved us out of California. California wasn't a good place for us. We couldn't navigate California. I was a young kid, and I was like, this sucks. We moved to South Carolina, and things were just fucking different. And yeah, South Carolina has its fucking problems. Like, South Carolina is a dumpster fire as well. We left one dumpster fire to jump into another dumpster fire, but the dumpster fire that we jumped into, the new dumpster fire, was humid, had a shit ton of fucking mosquitoes, had a lack of diversity, when I moved there was still the signs of the agenda of desegregation. So there's things in place, systems in place for desegregation that I experienced. So, and that was in 95. John Crow was in the 70s. And it's just a taper of a problem dissipating slowly. So I got to experience a little bit of that in South Carolina. But there was nobody that looked like me in that vicinity. So they didn't really even know how to hate me. Because they didn't know, it was weird. They're like, he's not black. He's not white. What? There was people were just lost. I'm sure the adults weren't lost. The adults were like, I know exactly what that motherfucker is, and they're coming back. We chased these motherfuckers out a long time ago. But yeah. So yeah, I got to see interesting progress in the Carolinas that a lot of people don't even know exists in the bubble of California. And that whole area, as you start to come, Southern California is very diverse, and yeah, it's a very crazy class system, police state, or it was when I was there. And as you come back to, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, it just starts to get a little bit more, but there's still a good amount of diversity. And I've never lived in Texas. I've passed through Texas. It's fucking. I can driving down, but in the lower part of Texas, I've never had any problems. But going up towards Amarillo, I would get pulled over all the fucking time. So I'm just you can tell the agenda changes. They're trying to keep us down south. I got fucked with by cops so much, and it's just it seems like the clear agenda is to keep brown down south. They fucking, and when I used to drive cross country, it was, early 2000s, And I mean, America doesn't change very fast. So I'm assuming, like that agenda hasn't really flipped. But yeah, being in South Carolina, dealing with the justice system there was fucking horrible. Yeah, they just trying to keep you down. They don't really see you as a human. They see you as a problem. They see you as a nuisance. They see you as, kind of like mosquitoes. South Carolina feels like you're a mosquito, and an illegal mosquito. They probably tolerate the mosquitoes a little bit more than they do. They are poisoning them, but they're not trying to deport them. So yeah, it's an interesting scenario, the South. I'm glad that I did experience it. I'm glad that I experienced it when I experienced it and the age that I experienced it, because the mind is just ready to perceive things. And there's a lot of things that my entire life has been really interesting. It's been very, very interesting. And for some reason I've realized that negativity and not anger, but animosity follows me. When I was a really young kid, I was hanging out with a kid in California. I was hanging out with this dude, darker dude than me, and it didn't matter. It was California, that's not a scenario. But yeah, he was, I guess, a pyro, and he lit a match in the library, and then he threw it behind some books. I think he was trying to catch the shit on fire, but then they smelled adults smelled the fucking fire, and the kid blamed it on me, and they believed him immediately. They're like he was a good kid, and I'm just like the quiet kid. But yeah, so I got sent home, and I had all kind of and I've had scenarios where people wake up next to me and they have nightmares. I had somebody I was seeing. She woke up with me. She looked really angry, and she was almost punched me in the face. Very jealous. Beautiful, awesome human being, but very jealous. She woke up and she was like, "I had a dream that you cheated on me. And now I know there's a dream, so I'm not so angry." And I was like, all right, cool. But yeah, stuff like that's happened. And I spiral into my hobbies. I spiral into my mind. I spiral into... I don't spiral into other people. I get infatuated. I do get infatuated. I go crazy over one person. I arguably experience a BPD infatuation with one person, but I also have a multitude of things that I am not doing to spend time with that person, and those things take a hit when I get into a relationship. And I notice that I used to sacrifice all the things I love to hyperfixate into one being, one person. And when I was younger, discombobulated, lost, traumatized, silenced, constantly, just numbing, just coping viciously. I just, it, but also try not to be put in a box. But also putting myself in a box that I was told to put myself in. So it's been a very interesting experience navigating American culture. It's not my culture. It's a culture that I was forced to subscribe to. It was a culture that erased my culture, and it's a culture that I've been unsubscribing to as much as fucking possible because I fucking hate it, and it hates me. So it's mutual, and that's the best. That's the coolest thing about it is it dislikes me, and I don't need its validation. not trauma bonded to it. I'm not codependent on it. I'm not, I'm not trying to please it. So I don't want a piece of the American pie. I don't even know what I want, because I honestly, like, I'm a realist. There's nothing what I want I can't get in this country. I don't know if there's a place where I can get it, because I mean, this fucking problem is everywhere. Honestly, it's fucking everywhere. But yeah, I just I've given up on a lot of those things, but I've given energy to a lot. I've honed where I put my energy, and I put my energy in in places that I feel mathematically and passionately sound. Human connectivity, communication, conversations. I've been really pursuing platonic intimacy with a lot of people, and I use the word platonic because when you use the word intimacy, people immediately think one thing. But what's wild, when you throw the word platonic out there, people get weird about that too, because their mind goes to one thing. So you're fucked no matter what you do. And I've always had problems with closeness. I've always had problems with intimacy. But you're conditioned in this country to know that you're a resource for something. So you resource yourself as that thing. I did, but also I fought it viciously, and looked for chaos, looked for a different narrative, looked for a different agenda, and asked my partners for a different agenda. I was like, do you want the thing that we've been told that we should want, or do you want to experience something different? And I never knew what that was. I never know what the difference was, because we're so far away from it. But yeah, so I always pursued something different, and I was raised with violent communication, and emotional communication, but also the American language is lacking in the ability to communicate a lot of things. So navigating that and recreating or growing new communication skills, instead of just shutting down when you're being silenced. It's easy to shut down when you're being silenced, and the people were like, oh, you just can't handle communication. I was like, no, I can handle communication just well, but you are silencing me. And I'm not trying to silence you. I want your voice to flourish, but I also want my voice to flourish, and you've been taught to silence people. So because you've been taught to silence people, you're silencing me, and I've been silenced for so long that I'm so against it that I don't want to silence you. Because of my emotional attachment to free speech and free self-exploration. But in a country that wants to take that from you, but also, wants to, lead you astray, not giving you the tools, getting to the awareness and developing the words in a lacking language to express yourself, and also ultimately doing it by yourself, because there's not a lot of people that you can engage in this communication, in this conversation, because it's a conversation that's been shut down constantly, and it's still in its infancy, and I hope it's flourishing somewhere, but a lot of places I'm at, it's not. It's still it's a conversation that's just being constantly waterboarded, so it's interesting happening, and it keeps your mind working, which is the silver lining of this oppression and trauma, is it keeps your gears and mind working and pushing for a new direction. You have to keep thinking of okay, this didn't work. maybe this will work, maybe this will work, maybe this will work, maybe this will work, maybe this will work. So their oppression, if you have this state of mind to engage it in a certain way, has the potential to develop a lot of strengths. But at what cost? What's the cost of learning to navigate and learning to communicate with the problem? I mean, you just have to sacrifice yourself and any dream of anything that you wanted to do outside of it, because it takes so much energy to basically plead your humanity to a being or entity that wants to deprive you and viciously not see your humanity. So it's an interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to creating around that conversation with people who are pursuing that conversation. I'm not here for performance activism. I'm not here for, to do the labor, for people who just want to use the conversation as a shiny piece wherever they go. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I'm really stoked about this window light. I'm not sure where. See, moving forward, moving back. Get the shadows. So yeah, that's a good spot. But I really dig the lighting of my door now. So now I've got a solid fucking lighting scenario in my room. So super stoked about that. And I'm gonna continue playing with that. And now this is the thing that I do. So cool.